Let's talk to God. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk to God. Woo!
Well, good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year. Happy 2024. Hey, it's Cutler here in the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler virtual book club and the YouTube platform. And it is my delight to be here. And I'm thankful that you all are joining and that you are allowing me to spend time with you all. I'm only spending 1,800 seconds, probably this week. As I mentioned at the close of last year, I'll be doing these broadcasts on Tuesdays only. And maybe I will occasionally pop up on Thursdays. But for now, let people know that Cutler is still here. He's still on the air. He's still doing his broadcast. He's still here trying to offer something that's inspirational, something that's motivational, something that challenges us to show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations, something that pushes us to a space and a place that's called better. And remember that better can happen anytime. I am delighted. I'm thankful. I'm glad to just be here. Wondering if I wanted to almost have a personal conversation to ask everyone, how were the holidays? What did you do? How was Christmas, and how was your New Year's celebration? What did you do? Come on, tell people, come on in, and chat with me. Let me know when you get in here, and I'll shout out the LTTC VIPs in just a moment. I'm excited about our conversation for this evening. I really, really am, because I want to talk about expectations and find out what kind of expectations we set for ourselves. You know, a lot of times people will make New Year's resolutions, and this is the time of year when people will start setting goals and do those sorts of things. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about what kind of expectations we set for ourselves. But before I do that, let me just invite people who are stopping by for the first time. If you're catching the replay for the first time, if this is your first time on the live broadcast, do me a favor. Go ahead and subscribe. And once you subscribe, click on the notification bell, because it will let you know whenever I've gone live and whenever I've updated or uploaded new content. I'm going to shout out the LTTC VIPs. Those are the people who tend to jump over in the chat. Happy New Year to everybody. Those are the people who tend to jump in the chat sometimes before I do. And I usually recognize the first three that I see on my end. So if you jump in and you see somebody else, or it looks like I didn't call your name, I'm just calling the people whose names I see on my end. And they are Tracy Johnson, Marissa, and Hattie Boone. So Happy New Year to all of you. But those are the LTTC VIPs for this evening. I want to talk about what are you expecting from yourself? And tell me, you all just chime in and tell me, did you all make any New Year's resolutions? I'm curious. So let's talk about that for just a moment. Did you make any New Year's resolutions? And you don't have to share what they are. If you'd like to, you certainly can do that, because I think it would just give a frame of reference and a point of reference to people who joined the conversation a little later. But also talk to me and tell me what you did to bring in the new year and how your New Year's celebration was. I spent mine with family and friends. One evening I was in church that evening, and then later that day I was with relatives and friends, and just gave thanks. And I was just thankful for the people in my life. I was thankful for the moments of my life. I reflected over the year 2023, and I was thankful for something that's called grace. All right, let's see what you all are saying so far. Happy New Year. I had a wonderful holiday season. I did figure out when to take that. I need to figure out when to take down my live tree. Yeah, you want to make sure you take that tree down, but maybe we could have talked about that. That's funny. You want to make sure you take that tree down before it becomes too dry and too brittle. And then the next thing you know, you have fallings all throughout the houses where the tree, the bristles are just falling all over your house. So while it's still moist, and has an amount of moisture in it, you want to get it down so before it gets dried out. And next thing you know, you just have pine needles or whatever kind of tree you have. You have needles just all throughout your house. So go ahead and do that. My family has this tradition, something that's called Old Christmas. We tend to leave the Christmas tree up until Old Christmas. Let me know if you've ever heard of the Old Christmas tradition as well. But let's talk about the new year, and if you are setting or making New Year's resolutions. I know a lot of times people will make New Year's resolutions, and they make them effective. Let's see, I was on watch TV by myself. Everyone had fallen asleep, but I woke them up. Yeah. So sometimes you want to do that just to tell everybody, hey, we made it, we crossed over. But a lot of times people will make New Year's resolutions because they get to the end of the year and they realize I haven't met all of my goals and everything that I was looking for didn't necessarily happen. And sometimes I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, or we put a lot of time restrictions. But do you know that things that from January 1st to December 31st is just a calendar year. But a 365-day cycle doesn't necessarily have to begin January 1st. It really could begin June 1st and go from June 1st to the end of May. So sometimes I think when we start setting resolutions and we're setting goals, we're basing them on the calendar year. And that's good because that way you want to have milestones. But I want you to ask yourself, what kind of expectations do I have for myself? Do I have any expectations for myself at all? And one of the things, as you're making expectations for yourself, you want to ask yourself, are these things realistic? You want to ask yourself, too late about pine needles, they're already everywhere. What the thing to get it out before this weekend. But you want to ask yourself, as you're making New Year's resolutions and as you're setting goals, you want to ask yourself, am I expecting, here we go, am I expecting too much out of myself, or am I expecting too little out of myself? Because one of the things that we can sometimes do is expect too little out of ourselves. When there's greatness in you, make sure that you don't downplay who you are. Make sure that you don't minimize your value. Make sure that you don't minimize your strength. Make sure that you don't minimize the gifts and the talents that you possess. So certainly make sure that you are not expecting too little of yourself. Sometimes we look at other people and we see great, oh, Cutler, slow down for just a moment, because I only have 1,800 seconds. Sometimes we look at other people and we see greatness in them, but we fail to see the greatness that resides in us. And I want us to know that there is greatness within us. And I want us to recognize the greatness that lies within us. Sometimes we miss that. We miss the mark, and we see beauty and strength and all of that in everybody else. But this is the year that I want you to see it in you. And as you're seeing it in yourselves, I want you to then set expectations of yourself that are congruent, that are parallel, that coordinate with what you see in yourself. All right. So make sure that you don't expect too less out of you. Because sometimes other people are happy when you expect so little out of yourself. And they're intimidated by the greatness that you see. Learn to see greatness within yourself. And it has nothing to do with arrogance or being self-aggrandizing or conceit or any of that. But it has everything to do with you finally coming into your own and you finally recognizing who you are. So let this be the year of self-recognition. I recognize who I am. In the whole scheme of things, in the Creator's plan, I recognize who I am. Oh my goodness, I think that is the offering that I bring to the table to us this evening. The power to recognize who we are in the Creator scheme. I'm not just another number, and you are not just another number, but you were deliberately brought here. You were purposefully brought here. There's intentionality about your being here, and there's intentionality about your still being here, despite whatever obstacles and hurdles and pitfalls you have had to endure, encounter, and come through. So don't set expectations too little of yourself. If anybody's going to set low expectations, let it be other people. All right, you don't expect a whole lot of me. That's fine, because I expect wonderful things out of myself. Yeah, so don't expect too little. Don't expect too little. In fact, if you set the bar high, that's fine. One writer said, always set your aspirations high. Set your aspirations among the stars, because at least that way you always have something to climb towards. I think one of the things that, and I'll share this, as I was growing up, I was academically gifted, and it just happened. It happened to be my mother's expectation that when she realized that this particular son and my other brothers did well in school, and they could have done even better, if the truth be told, and I suspect I could have done better as well. But I was academically gifted, and because I was academically gifted, my mother came to expect a certain level of performance from me, and she would not lower the bar. And because she did not lower the bar, I had to meet the bar. So what are you saying, Cutler? I'm saying set your expectations high and don't lower the bar. Know what you can do and don't lower the bar. And maybe there's some things that you are trying to do, some things that you want to do, and you would as it were, lower the bar for other people, but don't lower the bar for yourself. Set the bar high and just keep right on going, keep right on climbing. Set your aspirations high so that you'll always have something to work toward. This year, take a look at what were your expectations last year, and just pause and look at your life and say to yourself, in what areas can I be more successful? In what areas can I do more? Where can I really step into my best self? We talk about showing up your best self even in the worst of situations. Ask yourself, in what areas can I step into my best self? What dreams were I afraid to even try to realize? Don't settle for things that don't make you happy. Don't be okay with just mediocrity, because you're capable of so much more. And then learn to rise to those expectations that you set for yourself. When you set your expectations high, you can and you will rise to them. And if you've already set expectations, but Cutler, you're late, because I set expectations for myself effective December of 2023. Well, that's okay. Reevaluate them. Rise to your own expectations. And if you need to, set higher expectations. Go on and think about the expectations that you've set, and set some higher expectations. Make a list. Oh, here he goes again with that. Make a list and write stuff down. But I'm telling you, let's just set the pattern. Let's just set the tone for 2024, and make sure that you understand your expectations. Write a list of what you expect, so that way, as it is happening, you have something that you can celebrate. I told you all I'm only here Tuesdays this year, and I need to make every 1,800 seconds count. Make sure that you write down these expectations, so that as the year is progressing, you can look at them and celebrate yourself. Celebrate every victory. Celebrate the process. Because I said it last year in December, I said one of the reasons that we don't celebrate our progress is because we don't examine the process. As you're going through the process, just say to yourself, at least I'm going through. I'm going through the process. And as I'm going through the process, it's going to cause me to celebrate the progress that I'm making. Because you do know that as you're going through the process, that is progress. Let's just get this thing right at the beginning of the year. Cutler, what is it that you expect from yourself? What kind of expectations are you setting? I've set lots of expectations for myself. And guess what, you all? Let me be very transparent. There are some expectations that I set for myself, and do I see them coming to manifestation like I expect by December 31st? Not all the time. That is why I can say, out of a place of transparency, out of a place of personal truth, that when you don't see stuff manifest, do not call that thing a failure. Learn how to redefine what success looks like. There are some things that I wanted to do, that I wanted to recognize, that I wanted to see, that I hope would manifest, that I wanted to fulfill. And not all of them came into manifestation. Not all of them came into fruition. But did I consider myself or them a failure? Absolutely not. I learned how to redefine success. So you can do that. But there are some things. There are some things that you can do. Write down your expectations, and as they are happening, little by little, as you are marching your way toward those expectations, celebrate your wins, celebrate your victories, celebrate them. Sure. Well, Cutler, guess what? I set out and I started doing this, and it looked like when I started doing this, it looked like I got knocked 2 steps backward. And I'd only taken 5 steps, but I got knocked 2 steps back. Well, guess what? That's a net positive 3 steps that you made. Celebrate it. And then not only that, well, Cutler, I started. As soon as I got started, it felt like the weight became heavier. But guess what? You started lifting. You started doing something. And in the midst of all of those expectations, in the midst of all of those goals, in the midst of all of those New Year's resolutions, in the midst of all of that, here are some expectations that you ought to set for yourself. One of the things that you ought to say to yourself is that I expect myself to be kind and loving no matter the situation or no matter how I've been treated. There are some expectations that you can set because when life is happening, and sometimes you feel like you don't know your left from your right, and it seems like you're caught in these downward spirals. One of the things that you can say to yourself is, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to be kind and loving no matter the situation or no matter how I've been treated. And I know that's a challenge, particularly that part that says, no matter how I've been treated. But you can say, I expect myself to be kind and loving. Do we dot the I and cross the T every single time? Do we reach a space of perfection every single time? No, because sometimes our responses are not consistent with the character that we want to display. Sometimes our responses are not congruent with the integrity that we want to show up. But that is okay. You can set the expectation that you're going to be kind and loving. Set the expectation. I tell you all, I set an expectation that I will have a more healthy eating plan, a more healthy lifestyle, that I would exercise more, because you all know I've had 2 surgeries on my foot, but I had not necessarily gotten back into my routine of walking, but I decided that I would start January 1st, and that's what I did. I said, I'm going to cut down some of the carbs, I'm going to cut down some of the sugars, and I'm going to walk, I'm going to exercise more. And can I tell you all this, just being very, very transparent, I walked into my kitchen, and in my kitchen, I love blueberry muffins. I love lemon poppy seed muffins. In my kitchen, there was a case of lemon poppy seed muffins and a case of blueberry muffins. And of course, I had people who had come by, so I was making sure that I had breakfast and things, and snacks and stuff to eat when people would come by. But they were here at the house. And so January 1st, I walked down and walked into my kitchen, and there they were sitting on the counter. And I said, all right, so on one shoulder, it was the it was the angel, and on the other shoulder, it was a little pitchfork, red thing. But I looked at those muffins, and they looked back at me, and I said, okay, all right. Now, Cutler, you've said to yourself, you're going to cut out sugars and you're going to cut out carbs. You're going to reduce them. You're going to reduce them. So then you can say to yourself, well, I need to eat those, and I'll start reducing after I eat those. Now, there was a total of 7 muffins. Well, 7 muffins in my mind calculated or amounted to 7 days. And I said, well, let me just wait a week so that way I can at least eat these muffins. Then I said, no, go ahead and get started now. Tracy, those blueberry muffins were looking at me, and I was looking back at them. But I made the decision, just plunge right into my goal. So, and some of y'all are going to call this wasteful, and it probably was wasteful. But I put the muffins in the trash to get rid of the temptation. And that way, when I put them in the trash so I could get rid of the temptation, I did my walk yesterday, my first walk, my 3-mile walk I did. I went back out today. I said, yep, here I go. I'm doing it again. Set your expectations and work towards them. One of the things that I expect, as you can hear, you all, I expect to treat my body with love and kindness by eating a healthy diet and exercising at least 5 times a week. So that 3-mile walk, it's not just going to be one day a week. It's going to be at least 5 times a week. You all know I used to walk. Paula said, that's Paula D said, that's what I call self-control. Paula, because I love blueberry muffins. I love blueberry muffins and lemon poppy seed muffins. I love muffins. But I had to exercise self-control and say, nope, this is the goal that I'm setting right now. This is the goal that I'm setting right now. So then, my goal, my expectation is to treat my body with love and kindness. And some of you all can, if you would like, just lay hold to these and just grab right onto them. Marissa says, no. Is that about the muffins? Yeah, I threw them away. One of my goals one of my expectations is to treat my body with love and kindness. Another goal, because I'm still working, I work full time. So another one of my goals is to do my job. To do my job with enthusiasm, to do my job with energy, to do my job with joy, to know that I'm a bigger part of a process or that I'm a part of a process that's larger than I am. So I expect myself to do my job with joy and enthusiasm and with energy. Will that happen every single day? Maybe not, but it is the expectation that I set. I don't have the expectation of going to work to fight. There are some people who go to work and they go to work just to fight. I mean, as soon as they get there, they realize, all right, so and so, we don't see eye to eye. We don't agree on this. And so it's always going to be a struggle. It's always going to be a fight. But can I tell you, I don't go to work to fight. I go to work to do my job. I'm talking about how we can set some expectations. And here's another one, you all. Here's another one that I encourage you to write down. You can take this one and adopt it as your own. You can set the expectation to bring joy and peace to every moment of every day. Set that as an expectation. I expect to bring joy. I expect to bring hope. I expect to bring peace to every moment of my day, of every day. Woo, well, Cutler, that was big. I know it's big, but didn't I say we need to set our expectations high so that we will always have something to work up to? You just cannot rest on your laurels. I know a lot of people say, well, you know what? I achieved this. I did this. Or they would look at the goal and say, no, I'm not even trying to do that. Well, why are you not even trying to do it? Because you're going to consider yourself a failure before you ever get started? No, set your expectations high and have something to work towards. Set your expectations high because that is something that will challenge you. I told you all, and we know this to be true. We look for the inspiration, we look for the motivation, but one of the things that we don't always like is a challenge. We don't like to be challenged by anybody else, and sometimes we won't even challenge ourselves. But challenge yourselves with the expectation that, yes, I do expect to bring joy and peace to every moment of every day. It is an expectation that I set for myself. Because that is what sharpens my character. That is what, talk about being better so that I show up better today than I did yesterday, and I strive to show up better tomorrow than I did today. Setting expectations like that will sharpen you and will cause you to always put your character and integrity in check. Because I set the expectation that I am going to bring joy to every moment of every day. Absolutely. And I'm not going to let myself down because that is what I expect. The same way other people can have expectations of you and you strive to meet them, set an expectation of yourself. I love that, Linda. Linda says one of the expectations that we can set is to live each day as if it is the best day of your life. I'm living this day, January 2nd, 2024, like it's the best day of my life. I'm going to treat myself well. I'm going to treat myself kind. I'm going to be kind and courteous to other people. I'm going to be good even in a bad situation. I'm going to strive to bring peace in the midst of chaos. We can do this, you all. Go on and set these expectations of yourself. And if other people want to have low expectations, you let them have them. And then you say to other people, I am not going to lower my expectations because of you. Because when you set your expectations, when you determine what your self-expectations are, guess what? You set a pattern and you set a direction for your life. This is what I expect. And because that is what I expect, I have the direction that my life is going to go. Take some time to think about it if you need to. But when you set some expectations, that's what I expect, then that is what you work towards. And that is the direction that you aim. And that is the direction that you go. And then learn to take off. Go. And sometimes as you're examining and re-examining these expectations, sometimes you'll have to say, well, you know what, maybe I need to let that one go. All right. Maybe there's too much negativity associated with that. Maybe I need to let that go. Or maybe that's not realistic. Or maybe that's too low. So a part of setting expectations means that you've got to do some work. It means that there's some things that you need to lay hold to, some things that you need to grab onto, some things that you need to let go. That's how you meet your expectations. And I'm not necessarily talking about people, but there's some behaviors that some of us sometimes we need to let go. I know there's some people who will say just because everybody says yes, they will say no just to say no. They will become a negative Nicholas or negative Nancy just because. And you have to be careful. Some things, some habits, some behaviors, sometimes some people, you just need to let go if you're going to meet your expectations and learn how to practice positive talk. You know, we used to do word guard every now and then. I think I may bring word guard back from time to time because one of the reasons sometimes we don't meet our expectations is because we don't put it out in the atmosphere. We don't do what we call self-talk, positive self-talk and self-affirmations, or what we used to call word guard. Guarding my heart and my mind and my energy in my life with positive words. And so we need to practice, we need to practice positive self-talk and get back into this whole notion of word guard. I'm guarding myself with the power of my tongue. And then as you're setting expectations, give yourself time, give yourself space, give yourself grace. I told you all one of the things that as I look back over 2023, one of the greatest gifts that I was given, Tracy, we'll get back to word guard. I promise you we will. One of the greatest gifts that I realized that I achieved, or that I was given last year, was grace, something that was called grace. Sometimes I had to give it to myself. Thank God the Creator gave me grace, but you also have to give yourself grace. Cutler, what are you talking about? From a very practical point, sometimes setbacks happen. And when setbacks happen, you may not accomplish everything within the time that you had planned, and it is okay. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Focus on what you did accomplish. Stop focusing on what you didn't accomplish, what didn't happen, what you didn't do, didn't. Focus on what you did accomplish. It's only the second day of the year, and some of us are saying, I didn't get off to a good start. I need to get going. But by the end of this night in a particular time zone, you will have made it through 48 hours. You've accomplished something. So start looking at what you have done. Appreciate what you've already endured. Appreciate how you've already persevered, and say, you know what? This is the trajectory. Thank you, Cutler. I'm going to set my goals. I'm going to set my expectations, and I'm going to work toward them. I will make it. It's going to happen. I'm going to set my aspirations high. I'm going to set them among the stars. I'm going to have something to work toward. And I'm not going to look back, and I'm not going to let down. I may reevaluate them from time to time to see how close I've gotten to them. And I'm going to celebrate the wins. I'm going to celebrate the successes. I'm going to celebrate the victories. Let this be the pattern that you set for 2024. I'm setting goals. Because as you're doing that, one of the byproducts of what you're doing is to build confidence in yourself. Sometimes we don't meet our goals because we lose self-confidence. We lose or we lack the confidence. But when you have confidence, it will help you overcome some of the mental and emotional challenges about trying to achieve your goals. When you have confidence, it will help you overcome some of the mental and emotional challenges about reaching your goals. When you have confidence. And you set your expectations, work right on toward those expectations. And with each step, with each milestone, let it build your confidence. Because you're more likely to feel confident when you're heading in the right direction and when you're closer to your goal. So then, 1,800 seconds for this first chat here in 2024. It is about making sure that we set the pattern. That we establish the path, that we establish the trail, that we establish the highway along which we are going to walk. And I'm walking this highway hand in hand with you all. Just as you all are setting expectations, I'm setting expectations. And you don't have to tell everybody what your expectations are, but just know that they're in your heart. They're on the tablets of your soul. Write them down on a piece of paper and say, you know what, this is what I expect out of myself. And you can have some expectations set for every day. You can have some expectations set for every week. You can have some expectations set for the middle of the year. You can have all kinds of expectations. But you notice one of the things that I did, I set some expectations for me for every day. Because you may not necessarily be good at the lofty long-term expectations, and that is okay. But you can say to yourself, there are some things that I expect out of myself every day. Thank you, Cutler. There's some things that I know I can do. I can treat people with courtesy every day. Check, it's a win, success. You can experience success every single day of your life. And success doesn't have anything to do. It does not have to have anything to do with how much money you have, how many degrees you have, how big your house is, what kind of car you drive. There are some successes that come just by virtue of how you treat people. Some successes simply come by virtue of how you respond to circumstances in life. Let's do it, you all. Let's make it happen. Let's keep doing what we do. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Let's stay safe. Let's stay sane. Keep your heads up. Keep your hopes up, because we are in line. We're on a path this year of celebrating victories. Vision boards are great. Yeah. They are absolutely wonderful. So we're on a path of celebrating victories. So let's do it. Let's do it. I'll meet you all right here this same time next week. And until then, go on and tell people, come on and let's talk to Cutler. I may do a pop-up between now and next Tuesday, but tell the people, come on and let's talk to Cutler, because the man is really trying to get us on the right path for this year. Take care, and please know that from my heart to yours, some things have not changed, because from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. I'm so thankful for you all. And until the next time I see you all, have a good night.